Hi everyone. It is so lovely to see all of you here with us today. My name is Vanshika. I am the host and creator of Marketing Rapid Fire, the show that you are here to witness today. This is India's first quiz show for marketers, and it's very unique in concept. There's nothing like it, and it promises to be a lot of fun and no gyan. Basically, for all the new people here, because I did see a lot of new people here for this event, the show concept is very, very simple. It's basically, I will ask all these four amazing marketeers a question. They each have just a minute to answer, and there will be a buzzer that goes off. And along with that, I mean, while they are answering, I would love for you all to also actively take part and type in what your thoughts are into the live chat. This episode has 11 questions. We're going to go through about six of them first, and then we're going to break for a networking break for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll come back and finish the leg six so that you all get a chance to interact with all these amazing people. So, without further ado, welcome on stage into the show, Tejas, Naveen, Raj, and Vaibhavi. I'm so excited to have you all here with me today. Quickly take a minute and introduce yourselves. Tell us what you do, and yeah, anything cool that we would like to know about you. So, Naveen, if you want to go first.
Yeah, sure. Hey, Vanshika, thanks for having me here. So, I'm with Zoho. I've been a performance marketer there for 2.5 years. I'm also a part of a tribe called Storytellers. So, we are doing, events like Jan events, like, sales and marketing topics. That's what we do. So, yeah, that's pretty much about me.
That's awesome. Welcome to the show. Raj, tell us about yourself.
Hey, hi Vanshika, thanks for having me as well. And so basically, I'm a performance marketing manager at NetEnrich, and I started my career in marketing as a content writer back at Explara, and I've kind of picked up a lot of skills and put together a lot of stuff to kind of move towards more core marketing areas. And yeah, I love playing football. So if there's anyone here who's a fan of football, you can just kind of put me anytime.
That's awesome. Welcome on board. Tejas, tell us about yourself.
Hi everyone, hi Vanshika. Thank you for inviting me. I am a performance marketer. I live and breathe marketing, especially digital. And in my previous role, I was actually leading an agency in the digital marketing, where I handled a lot of clients and more than 7 years of work ex, and currently part of Tata CLIQ in performance marketing. And happy to be here, happy to learn from everyone, and happy to contribute.
That's awesome. Welcome on board. Vaibhavi, tell us about yourself.
Hi, Vanshika. First of all, thank you for having me here. And hello, everyone who has joined today. Quickly, if I go about myself, I lead a team of digital marketing for JobSquare, which is a job search portal and a startup based out of Ahmedabad. I have overall 7 years of experience into digital marketing. Fun fact, when I started digital marketing, people used to tell me, this is a fad, you should go in agency, you should focus, you're wasting time. And I was like, yeah, I know. And yeah, here we are. Everyone, like, there's no space other than digital marketing, if I say.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. So lovely to have you here. So, now that you know your panelists, let's quickly get started. So, we're going to have three sections on the show today. They're going to be first is digital/performance, second is chatbot, and third is content and content marketing. So, let's quickly get started with the first section. So, I'm going to turn my buzzer on so that when I ask the question, I can turn it on. Okay, we have that set. All right. So the first question that goes out to Naveen is how do you craft compelling ad copies for paid marketing? What makes a great ad stand out to you?
So yeah, when it comes to ad copies, like it's always concentrate on the competitors, like what they are putting in. So what their ad copies look like. If there is anything you have to work on, and you have to see all these descriptions, titles, and stuffs to make sure that your ad copy stands tall, and then your ad copy should be aligned with the keywords and the intent and of that, and it should also redirect you to the correct landing pages, and it's an actual total user experience that you should break. So ad copy is an important stuff that's in between. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Rajvardhan, go for it. You're muted.
Hey, sorry. So I think essentially, for me, there's basically been like two schools of thought, right? One school of thought is that you want everything to be really perfect in terms of how you're communicating your value proposition. What is it that you're providing? It's a service, it's a product, whatever it is. But the idea is that it needs to be relevant to the keyword. You can't just, I mean, obviously there's a whole bunch of keywords and there are groups, and you can do so much on it. But the idea is, if you're targeting long tail, if you're targeting short tail, if you're targeting something highly competitive, like it's always very best to be clear about what your landing page is going to contain, and not try to kind of just change the ad copy to make it a little bit more intriguing. So the second school of thought is actually a little bit more interesting, because it's more about trying to make something interesting or intriguing and having a hook to kind of get people in, right? You're not really revealing everything, but at the same time, you're just giving enough to say that, you know what, come and check it out. And then the only
Fastest buzzer ever on the first question. Nailed it. Done. Very good, Raj. But feel free to complete your chain of thought in case you were
yeah. So
completing it.
the only kind of downside, right, to that is that if your landing page is not as interesting as your ad copy, then all of your efforts that have gone into kind of creating those ads are not really going to show you a lot of results. So yeah.
Totally agree. Thanks for buzzing the buzzer on the first question. I think just go for it.
Hey, so I have 2 points only. One is since search has been covered, so I'll just think from the social aspect. So what a copy for me is what stops anyone from scrolling, and it should be intriguing enough so that someone stops the scroll, and that is the first thing any copy can do on social. And second is testing, because digital allows you to test so many things. Constant testing, constant experimentation is the key for getting the best copy out. So that's from my end.
Got it. Vaibhavi?
Yeah, I agree, like more to the most of the point. But then there are what I believe is your copy has to be really crisp. Like you don't want to tell a lot of stories inside your copy. Your copy at the same time has to be very intriguing, that people want to go and check it out. But it has to be short. People are not there to read essays. Like it has to be like bang on. This is what you want to say. And then specifically when I talk about socials, like social ads, you have a lot of space to utilize. You just don't have the ad copy. You have titles. You have if it is carousel, each carousel has its title. So use that space wisely to communicate whatever you want to say and make it very crisp.
Got it. That's interesting. So I quickly ran a poll to check how many people actually converted because they saw a great ad, and 83% of the people said that they did. So clearly we digital marketers are all doing something right if they are converted. So that's a good little reaffirmation. All right, next question again goes out to Naveen. What's the most heart-touching campaign that you've seen or been part of during your career? And this is a question from the audience from Arun Sankar.
Okay, the campaign that I loved most is like, don't watch Netflix from Netflix 2 years ago in Argentina. So it was like Argentina, these people are football guys. They when it's World Cup football, they don't think about anything else. They just in football. So on that time, the Netflix tried it. They just wanted to go out, but they started this campaign, no Netflix, don't watch Netflix, kind of. And unfortunately, it actually turned a bit, and then it was a huge success to the Netflix. It means like just say it's about the the country's perspective, the country's persona, and so I guess
Yeah.
that's one of the good campaign that I came across. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Raj?
I think it's really hard for me to kind of pick a campaign that really touched me or something. But I really like the series of campaigns that Burger King and McDonald's kind of have. It's
Oh,
very
yes, yes.
but at the same time, when Burger King, when McDonald's, like for example, was saying that every time you buy McChicken or one of those kind of things, they were going to donate a little bit to a charity. And Burger King started putting out ads everywhere saying that, you know what, just for a day, let's not have it at Burger King's. Let's go and order at McDonald's, and we can kind of join hands and save the world together. So I think, despite all that rivalry, kind of reaching across the aisle and kind of having that is really something that I like.
That's awesome. Seems like someone from the audience likes it as well. There was a lot of hearts flying around. So yeah, if you guys like answers and want to kind of show us your emotions, please use the emojis at the bottom. Someone has figured it out here, but here's a heads up for all of the others. Awesome. Tejas, what's your answer?
Raj, you stole my answer, but okay, I have a backup one.
Advantages of going first.
Even I was thinking of taking Burger King, but the recent one. Nonetheless, so one heart-touching campaign which I was involved. So when I was running an agency that time, if client praises you, it's really heart-touching, right? So once we did a campaign, basically, for a B2B aluminium supplier, and because of the data analysis we checked some Google trends, we did some campaigns on a very local level. He could expand his business exponentially. He expanded into a newer market just because of digital marketing. Not just catering existing, but a newer market, which was really great. And the lead generation campaign we started really was getting extremely high leads. And he called us and said that please stop the campaign because I cannot service them anymore. So that is one of the most, anything clients can tell you, stop the campaign is the one, I think, very hard, touching me.
Awesome. Vaibhavi?
So during COVID, like recently, we did a campaign that is we are in it together. We are in this together. Like we have a lot of jobs posted. We see a lot of people posting about jobs, and we started this movement entirely. Like whatever people we are in team, we started putting out Facebook banners. We changed our LinkedIn cover images. We started floating answers, and that's when we saw people started filling up those forms and everything. And then my team set together, we segregated the profiles that have came to us. We started pushing that sort of roles to people, like HR roles, marketing roles, sales roles. And like after a few days, someone just DM'd us and to say that, thank you, because of that campaign I got selected and I was looking for a job and I have landed one. And that's the cheer. That's the cheer that yes, we have done something. And
That's awesome. That is really awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, next question is a very controversial one that happened very recently. So there was an edtech company that had to pull down ads from the ASCI, a very famous edtech company, because they were putting out ads that were giving false information. And it's very lucrative to do that. So how do you, as a digital marketer and performance marketer, ensure that you are not over promising and are hopefully not going to get caught by the ASCI? And this question comes from Bhaskar.
Okay, so when you start a campaign, or when you go out, make sure that the team behind you aligns with you, so that you have to have a discussion with the concerned people, with the senior person, well, the brand voice who used to be a brand voice, have to get to know about him, get to know about the copy that goes out, and so with that. You know with that collaboration within the team, you just you don't stuck upon these things. You have to, I guess, the collaboration within the team makes the most sense when it comes to these kind of errors that these things happen.
Right. Yeah, totally. Raj?
Yeah, I think in this case, one of the key things is to make sure that the kid on the ad is actually real. But in general, I think But in general, I think that it's actually really straightforward, right? Like, look, if you don't have something, let's not put it out there. You can talk about stuff that's in the roadmap. I mean, I'm talking from B2B tech space, but you can talk about stuff that's coming up. You can talk about stuff that's coming soon. You can talk about all of those things. But you really need to draw that line and say that, if I don't have this or there is no story here, let's not just make one, because I think that just kind of spoils the whole kind of ecosystem. And like, obviously
Right.
there's a lot of stuff that's going on now because of that.
Yeah.
um, and like the other problem that I just have quickly is that this is actually what will kind of make it a lot harder for us to get ads approved as well, because now we're looking at longer and longer cycles to get any
Right.
kind of ads,
Yes.
right? So that's a huge problem.
Yeah. Absolutely. Tejas, what are your thoughts?
So I think as a marketer, many times you have the creative liberty to go out there and express yourself, maybe exaggerate also. And this is where the ethical standpoint of a marketer also should kick in, and not go beyond a certain limit, because you can be poetic, but you should not lie. So
Right.
this is where I think lying should not happen, for sure. And but obviously it will always be a balance, and some campaigns get the PR coverage for breaching those. But as a marketer, personally, I don't think that makes sense. So I think your ethical standpoint should kick in always.
Totally, I agree. It's a lot of responsibility, but you have to take that responsibility. So, very well said. Vaibhavi?
Yeah, it is totally your call. Like being a marketer, there's always a fancy word you want to put out. You always wanted to attract people, but then it is also the you who has to draw the line that you read all the copies like the India's best this thing, world's top this thing, but there are millions of people or millions of products like you. So do it in the limit of your power. I would say.
That's true. Someone sent you a bunch of hearts, and I see some claps also coming in. So wonderfully said. Wonderfully said. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So the next question again goes out to Naveen. So Cred recently raised $80 million, and they very recently also did a beautiful ad campaign, which was digital as well as in print, and they really utilized their channels very, very well. What are your thoughts on it, and why do you think it worked for them as a brand?
So Cred is a brand, like people think that Cred is kind of a fintech platform. Actually, it is not. So Cred is where it takes the top level of people in the country and then targeting them. It's actually a targeting platform. Uh,
Right.
that's the core thing of about Cred. And actually, I love Kunal Shah. Who not? He's just an awesome man, and I love the advertising part as well. It's just that don't exaggerate, and as you know, Vaibhavi said, don't exaggerate. It's just that the campaign was really good, and I really admired that. So it was.
Yeah, totally. Raj, what are your thoughts? Why do you think it worked?
I think this kind of goes back to the first question you asked, right? In this case, like if you really think about it, the concept was not about communicating what Cred does, what are your benefits and stuff like that. It's like intrigue, right? It's exclusivity, and I think that is something that has worked across the board. Like OnePlus, when they first started out, it's like invite only. Gmail, when it first started out, was invite only. So creating that kind of exclusivity around it has, I think, that's something that's kind of proven to work, and it's created that sense of community as well within the app, right? Because we're now part of a group that actually has a lot of stuff in common. So it's relatable. It was brought. The message was simplified as well, right? With the kind of actors and the concept and the production, and so I think that all of that kind of came together. So it was really good.
Very nice. Very well explained. Tejas, go for it.
So my first thoughts when I saw that campaign, it was really hilarious, and even people around me started asking me. I didn't understand what is that, and I told them the exact same thing, that it was the same thing. No one wanted you to explain the product, and that was actually going reverse, and they have done it
Yes.
well. And I think for me, I think it's more about targeting the right audience, because they use the exact actors, singers who were present in 90s. And if you see
Yes.
all people who are like millennials or born in 90s, just before that, they are the ones who are most active on credit, and they could,
Right.
I think, hit the chord there. And even there were multiple views on it. A lot of people said it's not good, and that's where the people started talking more about it, and that's
Right.
where the success of the campaign lies.
Totally, totally. Vaibhavi, what do you think?
So Tejas, you stole my answer. I had exactly. I kind of totally believe, because the kind of audience Cred caters to, this is an audience who has seen those superstars, who kind of quickly relates to those stars that they have bought in. Like, oh no, we have seen this, we know them, we love them, kind of a feeling that nostalgia comes back to them, and it's easier for them to relate to those people. Then it will be for them to relate to a new face, and I think that's where they have cracked it. And also another point which I loved, they have picked up, like one time, one place, it is trying to say that we are top in our game, and all the people that have bought in for those campaigns are the people who were top in their game during that time they were in the
Right,
game.
right.
So like it's very smartly placed people,
Very, very true. Very true. They've
Sorry
done
for
a very
stealing your
good
answer, but I think since you're going last, you
Yeah,
you
it has
question
an
me, and you go
advantage.
first. So
Yeah.
It has advantages.
All right, awesome. Next section, we're going to talk about chatbots really quickly before we can move on to a little bit of networking. So, Naveen, question goes out to you again. In a bid to get closer to consumers and customers, a lot of brands have implemented chatbots on their website. How do we as marketers ensure that the communication is on brand? So, for example, if you take Zomato, right, their chatbot sounds very much on brand. It's like the best chatbot I've interacted with. So how do we ensure that that happens and it stays on brand?
So yeah, if you see the gong, the chatbot was really cool. It was really nice. So it gives it gives a identity to that chat box. It's a dog that comes say hey woohoo. It's a kind of so relatable. It's a kind of so cute, and it's not irritating, or it's not breaking our flow. That's how the chat box should be. And another thing that I'm seeing in some web pages is the content suggestion tools. Instead of chat box, they are doing the content suggestion tools for they're driving the people through the pipeline. The
Mm,
pipeline from the awareness, consideration, acquisition, everything happen in a flow. I guess more than the chat box, I really started liking these content suggestion tools nowadays.
yeah, very true, very true. And we have the third buzzer of this session. Very good. My aim is to make sure each of you buzzer at least once. If that happens, I'm happy. Raj, your turn.
Yeah. So the thing is, honestly speaking, I'm not really clued into the whole extension of the brand chatbot on brand kind of piece. But the reality is that it needs to be done right, and it's a very tactical kind of a thing. But what I try to focus on is try to see what the copy on the product or the copy on the website is like, and try to kind of introduce all of those elements, all of those lines, pick up phrases, and kind of use that so that your tone kind of starts extending itself into the chatbot as well. Um,
Right.
but I think that's the most practical and the quickest way of doing it. Of course, it's not the best way to do it. I'm sure a lot of brand strategists will disagree wholeheartedly. But, I think that's kind of the easy way out for me.
Got it. Got it. Very interesting. Tejas?
yeah, so I will just give a twist on the e-commerce side. Basically, I think chatbots can play a big role in ensuring that commerce is seamless.
Yes.
Just example, I think one of the cosmetics brand selling face washes or face masks abroad, not in India. So they had done a very beautiful campaign where they actually took in they asked four questions: that what's your skin type? It's oily, dry. What's your day like? Are you outdoors, indoors, etc. Asked many questions and suggested a final product to them. And I think this is where, at least in the personal care space, chatbots can play a better role. Can be an assisted shopper and helping commerce being seamless, because there is a big catalog. All the e-commerce players have big catalog, so sometimes you get
Right. Yeah,
so
true,
chatbot
true.
can
It's
play
very
a role.
useful. Yeah, very useful in e-com. Totally. Very good point. Vaibhavi?
So, when you create a chatbot, you actually know that chatbot is something that you have fed in data into. So, first of all, goes with your tone. Like, keep it like what is your tone of brand? Just extend your chatbot copies that way only, so that someone who's interacting with bot doesn't feel like, oh, okay, this is something strange going on. If you are very informal in your tone, make sure your chatbot behaves that way. Your tones, your prompts are such a way that they feel very comfortable interacting with the bots. And of course, I feel that it is really going to be useful in terms when I said in e-commerce, I'll say in a job portal where I have two sort of audiences coming, where I want to segregate people, either they are a recruiter or candidate, and then divert them into basic funnels. That's where my chatbot comes to a play, like segregating people and leading them to right funnels. And one wonderful thing I saw, like we tried creating a there we go.
Go for it. Go.
But
Finish
we
your
tried,
thoughts. Okay.
yeah, we tried creating a chatbot sort of campaign on Facebook where it generated into leads, like that campaign
Hmm.
uh, completes leads to you. So there's basic question you ask them, and then they give you final leads, and which was a helpful campaign.
Yeah, totally, totally makes sense. Very interesting. All right, next question out to Naveen again. On a high intent page, a chatbot can be extremely helpful to help convert the surfer. What would you do in this instance? Like any two or three tips that you should keep in mind so that your chatbot is not distracting but more on the helpful side.
So yeah, I guess those answers has been told by the people already. Make sure the content aligns with your chat box voice, and make sure the you actually qualify the audience in the in the chatbot as well. That way, your salespeople is kind of relaxed and they get only qualified leads. So that's something you have to do, and make sure it's not so when you just entering, make sure it's not giving a beep and kind of sounds. Uh, Work on it. Go for some ride. See where the people exit, when the people exit. Start initiate the conversation then, instead of just pushing it right away. So that's something that I would suggest.
Awesome. Yeah, some really good points. I like this question because it's going to get harder as it reaches all the way to Vaibhavi. So let's see how this goes. Raj, what are your thoughts on that?
So I think, honestly speaking, the idea is to kind of not distract, but to prompt, as you said. And in a landing page that's high
Mhm.
intent, the idea is to kind of add value or add that extra bit of credibility that's required to push people over the edge, right? So if your CTA is like sign up, or your CTA is subscribe, or your CTA is a transaction, whatever it is, anything that can actually be a blocker for someone to take that step, that's kind of what should be addressed by the chatbot. Like, for example, if you're on a pricing page, which is typically considered like
Yes.
extremely intent driven, right? What you want to say is that, hey, we got all these plans, that's fine. We know there's an enterprise option, but why don't you do one thing? Just tell me how many, whatever XYZ units that you have, and I'll give you a quick rough estimate, or I'll give you a ballpark. And that's a good prompt to kind of get started, right? So it's just about pushing people
Got it.
to take
Yeah,
that
very,
step and
very
incentivizing
interesting.
them.
Good points. Tejas?
Yeah, and now I get why it's getting harder. But so I think most important is knowing your audience, and because I feel, if let's say there is a comparison, right? If there is a CXO or there is a middle manager, so their expectations are completely different. And if your pages can be categorized, or if you know most of your users are going to come in a high value audience or CXO level audience, I think that is where you know that you can't distract them. You just can assist them, and that is a very thin line, because most of the chatbots, in my experience, are more pushing me. Which is my second point, that don't oversell on chatbots. Never oversell on
Mhm.
chatbots, because chatbots are not to be just for selling; it's just for assistance. And sometimes it's okay that the user pings you rather than you pinging them. So that is what I can say.
Awesome. Just it was about to buzz and I just stopped it. So count it as a buzzer. It didn't ring, but it was about to buzz. Wherever we go for it.
Yeah. So when you configure chatbots, one important thing you have to keep in mind that when do you want these chatbots to prompt? You don't want someone to chatbot popping up like the moment I land on the page. Like put some timers. If I'm in a pricing page which has a few pricing there, let them, if someone is there more than 2 to 4 minutes, then prompt that hey, can I help you with the pricing, like make that as an
Mm-hmm.
assistant tool. It's not that it's very irritating when you land on some page and there's a pop-up, like exact the concept of overselling. Your chatbots are to help and assist whenever you feel you're stuck. So if a chatbot pops up at a time, like the timing is the crux, which page, which audience, and what time the chatbot should pop up. This, if you crack this combination, it is actually going to be really useful for a brand.
Very true, very true, very true. Wonderful, awesome. All right, so we are at the halfway mark, and as promised, I'm going to open the networking lounge up right after this. All you have to do is when you're there, hit a seat on a table where you see whoever is sitting on whatever table. It's 6:30. It's 6:40 now. Let's loop around in 10 minutes. Feel free to go around, chat, talk to people, ask them questions, and I'll see you back here in 10 minutes.
Sure.
See you.
Yes.
All right, awesome. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you all had an awesome time networking, chatting with each other, and getting to know each other better. So, we are back with the second segment, a couple of questions, and then again, there's a chance to network. So, stick around till the end. You'll get to go back and chat with the speakers again. And Arun Sankar took away my thunder by asking me to reverse the order, which was already planned. That happens every MRF. So what we're going to do now is it's going to be Vaibhavi, Tejas, Raj, and then Naveen. And this section is going to be on content and content marketing. So one of the topics that we just have to do it every single time, whether we like it or not. It's just such a essential part to marketing. You can't ignore it. So let's quickly get started. So Vaibhavi, first question out to you.
Sure.
A lot of brands have actually stepped up their LinkedIn page game over the last couple of months. Like, for example, Upgrad is doing some amazing stuff on LinkedIn. What do you think really works on LinkedIn for audiences from company pages?
So I have a very different feeling about LinkedIn pages. Of course, LinkedIn pages are good for brand building and everything, but LinkedIn gives more privilege to personal profiles than company pages. So while you are building your company pages, use your strong profiles, like people who are working with your organization who have very good profiles. Use those profiles actively to repurpose your content, reshare this content. That in turn will help you leverage your brand better. So of course, if you are in B2B space, LinkedIn is must. But even for B2C, leverage your profiles, I would say.
Got it, got it. Tejas, what do you think works on LinkedIn company
So
pages?
LinkedIn. So as Vaibhavi said rightly, LinkedIn company pages compared to profile, there is this gap. Usually, when I was advising few clients, also, LinkedIn page for a B2B company becomes a source of information about what they do, what are their best practices, what are the case studies, where all they are involved in. It becomes a quick summary of what this company is doing if someone is looking out for them. For a B2C company, let's say if it's a bigger brand, I think their engaging employees and future employees becomes critical, because before joining a company, employees will go to your LinkedIn page and see what's all happening on it. That is where the authentic content sharing becomes important for large
Totally.
companies. So I think that is what B2C companies or the large companies can take a piece out and share it on their pages.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely agree. Raj?
Yeah, I think Tejas avenged himself with the and the McDonald's thing. But yeah, I mean, largely I kind of echo that, right? And I kind of really agree with Vaibhavi as well. Like just the perspective on that is that the LinkedIn company page has kind of become like your website now, and it's just that instead of the all of the internet, and all of the channels that you have. It's like LinkedIn has personal profiles, you've got in-mails, you've got so many kind of features, you've got ads, you've got all that kind of functionality coming in. And all of it is to just kind of push you towards that website and or whatever constitutes as your website on LinkedIn, right? And that's actually the way that a lot of people are working. And not just from a conceptual standpoint, but also from an algorithm standpoint. If you actually see, when you open your LinkedIn feed, it's all personal posts, personal interactions and engagements of connections that you have, second, third, and stuff like that, will probably take precedence over company posts unless they're paid. But those, I think, it's very easy to ignore because you have that promote thing on them.
Got it. Got it. Go for it, Naveen.
So LinkedIn pages, like I love the cognizant that they're cognizant and UI pages that they are doing. These people are posting their interns' experience. So basically, what they're doing is they are getting the attention of their future employees, as they just said. So that's something that they're, and as you said, the B2B companies posting their what they are actually. If I go to the company pages, the the core is kind of hard to find, hard to see. I mean, like what they're doing, and kind of unless you are in that space. But when you come into the LinkedIn, you get a whole picture of what this company is and what this is about, what the funding that it's been raised, and it's a kind of one source place to know about, or know about everything about the company. So that's that the LinkedIn is doing, and people have to keep their page up and keep content. Yeah. So yeah, because that's where the authenticity is coming, and people will see it's a real company, it's a real page, and actually they are they hear us, they hear the customer's voice, and also that's how it should be.
Got it. Got it. All right. Awesome. First round went fairly well, I guess. Used to the switching over of the answering. Vaibhavi, second question goes out to you again. So, broetry is a trend that we see on LinkedIn all the time. And personally, it's so annoying. Like, I think it is so annoying to write in that way. But as a marketer, do you really think it's effective in the long term to get engagement and get people to read your content?
No, I mean it is when you see a platform as a user perspective. If you as a user don't like it, no one likes it. Put it because you're the user first. I would. Hello.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
hear you.
Yeah. So no, I don't think so. Like maybe people see some advantage, but it's not for me for sure.
Got it. Tejas, is broadly for you or not? Do you think it works? Do you not think it works?
Sorry, I lost you. Can you repeat? Sorry, I think
Do you
I had some
think
lag.
do
Sorry.
you think broadly on LinkedIn is something that will work in the long term? And if yes, how do people leverage broadly for engagement?
Okay. See, I think I can see so many things on LinkedIn these days. There are people who have started saying that it's the next Facebook. So
Yeah.
that is something uh, which which I think it's about the algorithm as well as what people want. Any platform, be it LinkedIn or even we talk about Twitter. Twitter is being here for a longer time. They are also trying to do many things, but still people go there to read tweets, right? Other than anything else. So I think rather than having those features or rather having some specific content, it's all about what your users need or your followers need. And if you
Yeah.
are feeding that, then nothing like it. So be it
Got
any
it.
platform for that matter.
Got it. Got it. Raj, what are your thoughts?
Please don't kill me. I didn't really get what you meant. What is what are we talking about?
Raj, I think your signal's a little messed up. Yeah, just start again.
Don't kill me, but I didn't really get the question. Can you just repeat it again?
Do you want to try turning off your camera? Maybe the signals are a little messy on your end.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think we lost Raj. Oh no, wait, he's back.
Yeah,
Raj, can
I'm
you
here.
see us? Can you hear
Sorry, I
us?
just
Okay, cool.
I
Yeah.
can I can. Could you just repeat the
Okay.
question? I'm so sorry. I know you already did it once.
So the question is, if is broetry, I mean, a trend that we see all the time, is it a really good way to kind of produce and give your content out to the world? Is it or is it not? And if you think it is, why do you think so?
Um, I think, honestly speaking, I think it's too early to tell because the whole idea is that you want to test this out. Brands want to try it out, and they kind of want to see if it's working, if it's resonating with their audiences, if they're engaging with it, and stuff like that. And to be fair, I haven't really seen anyone say come up with some massive case story or success story, and nor have I seen someone come and say that it has failed miserably for me, right? So I think it's a little too early for that.
Got it. Got it. All right.
But yeah,
Awesome.
I
Naveen, what
would
do you
want
think?
to.
Go for
Yeah,
it.
Vaibhavi. Just
So
go for
I
it.
would want to add like that LinkedIn does rate those posts, like, those posts will be like all over the feed. Just put space, space, space is like
It's
I
so
think it's
annoying,
also
but you will
because
read
first
it. That's the
few.
conundrum.
yeah.
I think it's like one thing is it's also because a lot of courses or the webinars which happens on LinkedIn recommend especially this format, and that is why people start using it across.
Yes.
And I think it's working. So, and as long as it's working, I think I don't see it as a challenge.
Got it.
But yeah,
Yeah. Naveen, go for it.
works.
Yeah,
It's Naveen, you go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay.
You won't feel all your points.
Yeah, but again, if it works, if it I see that it's worked for some people. Their engagement
Yeah.
is really good. It works for some people, but it doesn't for not. I guess like that's
Yeah.
thing called uh, LinkedIn boards, or the people used to post their LinkedIn, and then LinkedIn pods kind of to gain the initial momentum and all. If those things happen, the algorithm just quickly picks up the post and then goes through all these things that are happening. So if it works, whatever it works, just go. No, it doesn't matter. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Very interesting. You're like, whatever works, works. Just let it be. It's fine.
Just let it be. Yeah.
That's awesome. Vaibhavi, next question out to you. So, SEO or content marketing, or are you on the side of SEO and content marketing? What is a effective long-term play for companies these days?
SEO and content marketing.
Tell
No
us
doubt.
why.
Yeah. SEO and content marketing. This needs no explanation.
There's no explanation.
yeah.
Fine. Tejas, what's your explanation?
Thank you, Vaibhavi, because now we
Yeah.
can add a few points. Anyway, so I think SEO and content marketing both, because SEO handles your web traffic, while your content is agnostic of any platform. It can be a simple WhatsApp message or WhatsApp forward, or it can be on Instagram or Twitter and anywhere. So, considering your audience is spread across and the amount of apps you use on a daily basis, it's good to be present everywhere and consistent to be everywhere. And that is where the challenge is, because resources are not unlimited, they are limited. So, focus and priority is something which most brands miss. So, if your
Okay,
business is dependent on SEO, go for SEO first and then content marketing.
got it. Yeah, makes sense. Raj?
Um, I think actually in my head, both of them are so um, entwined, intertwined that it actually doesn't make sense to separate it out for me. In fact, a lot of organizations, including at NetEnrich, what we're seeing is a convergence of both the roles, right? So we've got content strategy and SEO being kind of headed by the same person or team or whatever it is, because it's kind of like Tejas said, right? It's creating content and distribution. SEO is just, I mean, search is kind of one channel for you. So I think it's really hard to separate those two, and
Got it.
really tough. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Naveen?
So basically, the thing is like SEO is for bots and content is for people. So sometimes you have to concentrate on the bots too, because that's what let the people know your content. So you have to work balance both of them. Don't do stuffs like over SEO stuffs, doing keyword stuffing, blah blah blah, etc. Work on the content marketing. I mean, repurpose the content that you have across all the channels, redirect to the same page, and content syndication stuffs and all. So it works well when they when they align together. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. All right. Next question out to Vaibhavi again. So during the last couple of months, due to COVID and all of that, webinars have really picked up as a very strong channel of giving out content from companies, branded content, and there's so many conferences that have had to go virtual during this time. What do you think or if you worked on any, like, what is the strategy that has worked for you when you're like even thinking of like what webinars to bring forward to people? If you can share some of that webinar related strategy.
So I'll be very honest. We had two sessions of our offline event, which is all about people, where we kind of do physical event where we travel to cities, bring HRs and a panel of speakers together, where it is very informal, not like a typical HR conference where we just talk, like, we pick up a topic and talk about it. When we tried doing that, when we thought of doing that, one thing we realized that we won't get that, like, that feel of doing that offline event where there is a face to face conversation happening. So, like, we kind of didn't opt for doing any webinar during this time, but though we
Okay.
have attended few, like when we put everything, like we will have users, we'll have everything, but then somehow it didn't click to us. Like, I haven't done any single event. Like, of course it was in my head, let's push it, let's do it, but then
Hmm.
you don't get that same feeling when you're sitting in a panel and doing
Yeah,
that thing. So
totally. Yeah, I mean that's also a strategy to be like everybody's doing it, let's not.
yeah,
And
let's
that's
not, let's
fine.
not, let's
Yeah,
not.
it was very crowded. Like beginning in like March, April, May, everybody was
Everybody
doing
was,
webinars.
yeah, and then you put a lot of effort in creating one piece of webinar. It's not just that you just go out and talk. You put marketing effort, you put everything behind that, and you don't want to get it waste because there's a lot of options for people to attend.
Right. Yeah, totally agree. Tejas?
I think what we are talking about is called webinar fatigue,
Yeah.
and March, April, we could visibly see that everyone was doing webinars, and there was so even I thought that it's too much webinars. Some webinars which I attended as a speaker also, I think there were few which got really good audience. They were quite focused, and there were few where we got like very less audience also. So the thing with webinars, I think, is do it if it's absolutely necessary right now,
Hmm.
and do it to a focused audience. So one of the examples which I gave where there was a focused audience, we had tied up with an association,
Hmm.
business owners association. So they were very enthu people post,
And two cutlets.
yeah, so post 40s, they wanted to grow their business, and so that helped us a lot. Rather than doing it for everyone, narrowing down your audience will definitely work for it.
Got it. Got it. Raj, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think coming from B2B, webinars is kind of like bread and butter, right, for us. There is no kind of escaping that. But that being said, I think it's extremely critical to be sure that one, you've done from a topic point of view,
Not how.
from an audience point of view, and from a, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes,
Sorry, can you hear me?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so I was saying like just three kind of critical things, right? And then of course you have a lot of derivative points under that from a checklist standpoint. But three critical things that we really want to nail. One is actually the content of the script, or what is it that we are actually having it about, right? And it involves a lot of research. Like, don't kind of ignore that. It's not an intuitive thing. Don't just be like, I spoke to five of my
Yeah.
friends telling me this thing, right? So
Totally.
one of them. The other thing is distribution.
Go for it. Finish your thought. It's okay.
So the other thing is the distribution piece, right? Like when you're putting the campaign together, you got so many channels at your disposal. You got your databases, you got all your
Right.
social medias, you got everything. So I think it's critical to understand that a webinar needs to be, you can actually break that down into a lot of different segments. For example, we had chatbots here, we had performance marketing, we had so many things. We can
Right.
actually just break that down, put the agenda over there, have it, advertised to different audiences and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done.
Right.
Again, don't take that kind of lightly.
Yeah. Very
Um,
true.
I kind of forgot the third point. So
When you think of it, let us know.
yeah, I will.
Okay, awesome. Naveen, go for it.
So yeah, webinars are overrated nowadays, but for the audience point of view or for the company itself, do repurpose it. I mean, like do, clip it to certain important answers from the speaker or kind of thing. Clip it and repurpose. Let the actual audience know that these values that we are giving, and let the people know that these exciting things are happening with us, or that should be done. And I guess like when the pandemic started, everyone started webinar. I guess that's the only lead source that they have at the initial period of time. So that's when these webinars started booming. But yeah, if you can repurpose it in the right way, it's okay to do, even if you have lesser audience, but the content should be good.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Totally. Yeah, totally agree. Very good points. And now we're at the last question. So thank you everybody for sticking around. It's been really exciting. So last question out to the panel, Vaibhavi. Where do you get your content inspiration and content advice from? Tell us some of your favorite podcasts, books, websites, anything of that sort.
Well, a lot of ideas come from a lot of places. I mean, like, there's, there's no particular source, but then I believe I have some reading points that I do. When I handle social, for me, it is really important to spend like good chunk, like half an hour of a day going through trends and how can I relate this trend to my today's post, or how can I create something which is trending today, like for a brand that I'm managing. I do a lot of reading with on Medium sometimes, which gives me a lot of good insights, good articles
Hmm.
where we kind of pick up not just for the daily content or anything. It just turns out to be a long piece for blogs, for writing ebooks and everything. That gives a lot of ideas. And I subscribe to a lot of newsletters.
Got it.
So
I
yeah, so
love newsletters. They're so awesome.
yes. So, like, I need my day where I can kind of scan through all the newsletters that I've got. And yeah.
Yeah, totally, totally agree. I love newsletters as well. Tejas, what are your content ideas, inspirations? Where do you get it from?
So I think, unlike my entire generation, I do not watch a lot of videos. I prefer to read a lot, and this is where it takes me to Twitter all the time. And at start of the year, I think I curated a feed for myself, and it's the only feed across all platforms where I really love. There is nothing I can unfollow there. I think that is the best thing I've done. And there are people from Naval Ravikant to Neil Patel, various interests. So actually, for me to get into the content mode, consuming all types of content helps, not just marketing or not just finance or something like that, because there are good things across different domains, and that's what I like to read about.
Got
And
it.
yeah, Twitter for me is the best source of information.
Awesome. Awesome. Raj, where do you go?
So I think from a personal standpoint, just like the stuff that you're interested in reading and all, Twitter and Reddit are actually my go-to kind of channels. If you're asking me about professionally, it's actually all my competitors because I keep doing a bunch of stuff, and I keep saying that yeah, this design is really good. I really want an ebook like this, and then that's kind of how it starts, right?
I'll
Um,
clip this and send it to your boss. I think he'll be very impressed with you.
that's Partha. By the way, I have finished all my work. And all my KPIs are also done, hopefully.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
Awesome.
kind of thing, right? So I think it's
Awesome.
really important to do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, competitor research gives you so many ideas. Yeah, absolutely. Very
Yeah.
good point. Naveen?
So, in a person point of view, LinkedIn mostly. So, most of the time I'll be on LinkedIn. But when it comes to companies, a lot of newsletters, blogs, competitor blogs, and also the industry news is that's been happening. So what we do is like we kind of create what would I say? A kind of a blog kind of setup where we talk about what are the IT crashes that happened and why you should have us kind of stuff, and it gives good results for us. Keeping on the industry and keep knowing what the industry is happening is really good thing, and you have to do that. Yeah. So
Got it.
that's kind
And
of
Vanshika, to add to this bucket list, I kind of listen to a lot of podcasts.
Me
And
too.
Ranveer Barar
Yes.
is like, yeah, I love his podcast. And specifically the episode with Kunal Shah was amazing. Like a lot of insights.
Yeah.
So
Kunal Shah
yeah,
has also done a YouTube video with
yes,
called Fred Curious with Nitin
yes,
Kamath. That is also an
yes.
amazing episode.
Agreed,
Yeah,
agreed. So yeah, of course, like podcast adds up to the list. And then
totally.
don't
I would
stick to
agree.
the podcast limited to your domain, like hearing any podcast.
Yeah, totally. I mean, if you want inspiration, just hear whatever
Yes,
comes up.
yes,
Totally
yes.
agree. Totally. Awesome. So that brings us to the end of this episode, which is episode 13. Super excited. Thank you all for being here. It was such a lovely episode. We've got a couple of questions from the audience, and I'll just read them out for you. So Ashutosh asked, and feel free to just answer it. Anybody can pick it up. How do you ensure ROI from your digital marketing campaigns for a startup that doesn't have too much money? Anyone can pick it up.
Okay.
Um, I can actually just take a stab at it. I think, see, like the one thing that you really have to nail, right, and understand actually is that marketing requires a lot of stuff to go right, and very little to go wrong for it to work. And one of the key things to nail very early is actually your value proposition. And the best way to test it out is actually to just take it out to your potential customers, prospects, leads, whatever. Take it on LinkedIn. Just connect with people, talk to them, because you've got this massive community and you've got all of these search capabilities, you've got targeting capabilities, but just kind of nail value prop first. It doesn't cost anything. Um, and the other thing is that once you have figured this out, that's kind of when you can start figuring out scale. But the important thing is to just get that lead pipeline flowing, right? Unless you've got that engine started, it's really hard to keep it. You can't scale it without. You can't just say that I'm going to start with a crore and I'm going to start getting leads. You need to figure out how to get them first.
Yeah,
And
totally.
other thing I would add it to his point is keep a tracking of things. Like you put your UTMs right, set up your pixels right, so you know your activities.
Attribution. Every
Attribution, see, yes,
performance marketer's biggest struggle. कहाँ से आया ये lead?
yeah,
Attribution is the most
important. Yeah,
debated question in the company. So,
yeah.
Oh man,
So
attribution.
have it right, so that at least you know every penny that you are spending, where you are generating revenues from or leads from. So you know that channel is particularly working for you. So there is a scope to explore more towards it. And other thing, test. Like there's no alternative there.
Got it. Very good points. Yeah, Naveen.
So, if you can't measure, just it doesn't make sense at all. So you
Yeah.
have to before starting your campaigns, you have to set up all these things right. You have to measure. You have to make sure all these things happening. For a startup, if not, get some guidance. Just don't drive in. Just don't put a lot of money that you were in. Do it before. Get some guidance. Get to know from people. There are people that's there to help you. So do that.
Got it.
Make sure get some advices before starting, especially the paid campaigns. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of helps to give a better ROI.
yeah,
I
I would
think
agree. I would agree.
especially for a startup, so actually what is more important for a startup is to have a buy-in of the founder.
Hmm.
That is where the entire campaign structure, paid, how much money, budgets, everything will come through. Secondly, I think monitoring your campaigns or monitoring your spends in the first few weeks is really critical. That is where you can make or break, because you can't just set your campaigns and go for a spin. Those first few days, even extra hours actually helps. And if in my experience, I have, whenever we have put in those extras at the start, I think after that it's quite easier. So that
Got
is where
it.
all these
Yeah.
platforms learn, and you can take those corrective measures without wasting your budget. That's what's
Sure.
important, I think.
Yeah, makes sense. And we have a question from Fazil who's asking, do you guys have some resources for B2B marketing that you'd like to share?
I don't know about B2B marketing in general. I would always recommend people to take a look at Brian Balfour. He's got
Hmm.
this
Yeah.
amazing growth, how to be a growth acquisition, customer acquisition expert. I think that's a very critical starting point for a lot of guys, just to get your foot in the door. Post that, mostly I think it's better if you just stick to Twitter because then you know what's going on real time, right? It's not like you have to read
Yeah.
everything.
Twitter.
I think building
True.
on public is catching on. So I think that is what
Yeah,
helps. You can see a lot of people building and sharing what they're doing. For
Yes.
absolutely.
B2B, I found HubSpot very good
Yes.
for basic
Yes.
information for starters. If you're really starting out B2B, HubSpot
Mm-hmm.
will kind of clear all those definitions. For advanced, maybe as Rajvardhan said, follow some marketer who has gone deep down, and that's where you can relate. But for basics, you can start with HubSpot.
Got it. Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Naveen, you want to add on?
Yeah, so when it comes to B2B marketing, that's a lot of thing. As usual, the performance marketing, SEO, content marketing, and all. There are specialized people, like Dave Gerard, or
Oh, he's awesome.
yeah, kind of people are there to help you out, or that follow their content, and subscribe to some newsletter for SEO for Neil Patel, kind of follow those people. So it's kind of that's each person for kind of area, pick them and then follow them. That's kind of a good start to go.
Yeah, very good. Very interesting. Awesome, cool. It's been a really fun session. We spent an hour together. Lots of things that I have also learned, and I hope the audience has taken away some wonderful learnings from here. Thank you all for coming, being on the panel, and supporting this MRF kind of idea of no gyan. It means a lot to me. Thank you all so much. And yes, everyone from the audience, stay tuned to my LinkedIn, to the MRF LinkedIn page. There are definitely going to be updates about this show, and then we're having another show on this coming Saturday. So stay tuned. It's going to be a fun one. Thanks. Take care. Have a good night.
Bye bye.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for
Thank
having
you.
us,
Bye.
Thank you,
Vanshika. Bye
Vanshika.
bye.
Thanks a lot
Yeah.
for having us.
Yeah.